Applaud because you're gonna have to applaud again. I want you to meet the office. The first time off the, but also too, she got some more books in her. I want to know what happened with Al and the gang and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand. This is L.S. Jones. Give her a big element. Sister Uptown, welcome. And as Marvin Gaye said, we try to get it with just a little bit louder. Louder! Oh, L.S. Jones, my idol! Welcome to the LMS show. How are you?
I am well. First off, thank you. I am so humbled to be here sitting.
Oh, that's why I love you.
And just thank you for having me. Sisters, every time I come in here, it feels like I'm going from the future up into the present. It's just the vibe, it's the aura, it's the people, it's everything. It feels so good. It just feels right to be here. So I'm honored and I thank you.
Give her a big hand. Give Ella Jones a big hand. The words that Jones said about your book, how you like the introduction?
It was very touching. It was just very, again, I'm humbled. The story is a story that pretty much wrote itself.
And how did it write itself?
It wrote the story takes place, just a little correction, in the 1990s, and it is the story of a young woman it's a coming of age story. She's trying to find herself, and she happens to be the daughter of a queen pin. And in growing up, she didn't feel as though she had anyone to kind of show her the ropes. So she had to find her way on her own. And in finding her way, she would come across many hurdles. And so it chronicles the life of a young woman really trying to just find herself and not making an excuse about where she was or where she was from. But although she was shamed by it, she was just at this place where she was just ready to take accountability and to take the steps. And in taking those steps, she would bump into the wall many, many, many times. And so that's it in a nutshell. But it's the story of 3 generations of mother-daughter conflict. That's what ultimately happens.
Yes,
it's her mother, it's her grandmother, it's her great-grandmother, and eventually she would have a child, and it would be her child. So it would be this generational thread that would go through this family, and she's trying to break this cycle. And to break the cycle, which is to do something positive, she would get such a negative reaction that she would begin to question herself. Now, in the story, as she goes through life, that's what you have to follow her to find out what happens.
You mentioned the mother was happened to be a Harlem crime boss, right?
She was indeed a crime boss, and one of the big things about the story, the title is The Queen Pin's Daughter. It is not a hood book. It's a coming of age story.
No, it's a very good book.
It's a story of this young woman, and her mother is a drug lord. Her mother's a drug lord, and when you're a drug lord, you're not a crack dealer on the corner. It comes with a lot of money. It comes with a lifestyle, and you can kind of ride with it or ride against it. And the main character, Deidre, she rode against the wave. And there was, excuse my expression, hell to pay for it, because she could have just rode the wave and lived the life of this high class girl, but she didn't want to. She had a spiritual side that she was fighting with.
She was a working lady.
Yeah, she got her first job at 14. She went to church with her great grandmother, so she knew about God at a very early age, and she would battle with what's right. And when you're growing up, your mother or your father's word is law. So when you have God and this figure who's your parent that you see as law, it's this battle to find yourself. And so she was constantly struggling, and she wanted what most women want. She wanted love. And she didn't know what love was because no one told her what love was. So she went out seeking it.
Some of the guys, what was her first love who she met up with?
Her first love was devastating because she was a 14-year-old girl, and she would get into the hands of a 23-year-old.
Wow.
And so,
he'd be in the jailhouse.
Yeah, and then, the law is that when you're 14 and someone is 23, she's a minor, she can't make her own decisions, so it's considered statutory rape. And the experience was horrific. It wasn't horrific in a sense that he physically held her down and raped her, but psychologically what this experience did to her would carry her, would stick with her throughout.
Also, too, the experience that she had, I think, I believe it was a 20-year-old, she went to a motel the first time, right?
Yes, that 23-year-old took her to a motel and she was out of her element. But he wouldn't sleep with her because in her fear of her mother, because she was still very afraid of her mother, she blurted out, to him to let him know, I'm a virgin and do you know who my mother is? She'll kill you.
Oh, yeah.
And that kind of put the brakes on it a little, but it wouldn't stop,
I mean, the boy kept trying now.
Yeah, of course.
And he tried. The part I read in the book is that, which I think it was the same with the same guy. She went up to his apartment with two Wallace.
Yes, two dogs.
Making love in the bedroom with two Wallace, and the Wallace watching. Oh my Lord, that was scary.
I'm sure for her as well.
I guess she wanted to get that over real fast. Oh baby. Yeah, get me out of here. The guy I said I was throwing a tomato at it in the book, or was it Rashid, the Muslim guy?
Oh, that was
that's the one with the tomato.
It was these characters. It was.
Oh, they were characters too.
Yeah, it like I said, it chronicles the life of a girl that goes from 14 to adulthood. And as she's going through her journey through life, she would have boyfriends like any other girl would have boyfriends. And each one of these relationships would help to build her. Ultimately, her character, what she wanted to ultimately do was find herself. So she would have to go through these life experiences to find herself.
There was another guy, Keith. Tell me about him.
Keith. She married Keith.
But wasn't he like a friend? But she really didn't want to marry him, right?
She didn't want to marry Keith, but she married Keith. Keith
Was
is a character that was her first marriage. First, meaning that there was another marriage. But her first marriage, she was a very young girl, and she got married, and she wasn't in love. And it talks about when you marry a good person, but you're not in love, and how, although it could be a great guy, but if you're not in love, ultimately you're bringing baggage into a situation, and it just turns out to be not so well.
Did she have the baby with Keith or somebody else before she married Keith, right?
She had a baby, and you have to read the story to find
out. Got to read it. You can't give away everything now. You got in the goodie bag.
But she has a child, and she has the child with the intention, when she has this child, she takes responsibility. She's very young, but she wants to break the cycle of whatever this rift is between her mother and her mother's mother and her mother's mother.
Yeah.
And this child turns out to be just the opposite of what she expected.
The part that really was, her and the mother didn't get along, but the mother really kind of needed her because she had a brain. That young girl, I'm not saying both, but mom and them, I think because they both had common sense. But when she went to Baltimore and smuggled them drugs, oh my goodness, getting on the train.
Oh wow! Yes, there is a time when the main character Deidre, she wants her mother's love. Ultimately, she doesn't want any part of the lifestyle, but her mother has always been persuasive in her life. So it was this push and pull. And there was a time when her mother asked her to smuggle drugs for her, and it was the day before her high school graduation.
Yeah.
And she would be stopped by the cops, and then there's this encounter, and you have to find out, did she graduate or did she go to prison?
The characters, you really worked on those characters in that book. We were talking about that, right?
Yes.
I mean, you had to put yourself, you had to really pull yourself in there, right?
It was very important for me while writing this book for you to be able to feel all of the emotions. So it was, it's these characters, these very colorful characters. However, what was most important was that every word in every instance, in every situation, that you can place yourself or someone into it. So although it's fiction based on truth. So there's these elements in it where you can see yourself or your girlfriend or even your daughter, in relation to her daughter was a teen runaway. And she wasn't belligerent, but her daughter was just this teenager that was trying to figure it out.
The daughter. Oh,
the daughter was out of control. What we would say today is, out of control. But in the daughter's mind, she wasn't out of control. She was just being a teenager.
And she met we're gonna she met this guy Al. Oh, tell us about it, Al.
Al would be, oh, that's at the end.
Yes.
Al, she met Al, and Al was a culmination of everything that you could ever want in a guy.
Oh.
Al was smart, he was handsome, he was wealthy, he loved her.
She really loved him?
She loved him, but still she needed work. Because you can love someone and they can love you, but if you don't work on yourself, there's bound to be that smash in the wall. So she still needed to ultimately work on herself. Although she had the picture perfect guy with everything, if you do not put the work into yourself, you will find a way to screw that up. And she found a way to screw that up as well. In book 2, not in book 1.
Oh, so you're working on book 2 now, right?
Book two is complete.
Wow.
Oh, give her a big hand! Sister Jennifer, you heard that? Sister Jennifer, did you hear that? Book 2 is complete.
Yes, we.
Hey! So the book club gonna get it again, and everybody else gonna get it again. We've been sampling around the country. You're a big hit, as you say. You put on the on your social, on the Facebook, and also too, you're a hit in California too, right?
California, Detroit. Detroit gives me a lot of love. Baltimore, have a huge fan base in Baltimore. New York, New Jersey, Newark. It's spreading around. It's online. It's on ebooks and it's on Amazon, and you can get it from the publishing company, ForRealPublishing.com. You can get it at Sisters bookstore.
Yeah, the sisters we give public access and rip the advertising. But oh my goodness, you're talking about making a movie.
Yes, the screenplay was 1 week to completion of the screenplay. I was reading it this morning, and it looks really good. So there's a movie coming out.
Oh no! Big hand. I'm gonna eat oh my goodness! I'm gonna have my popcorn. You ain't gonna have you're not gonna high tech and nothing like that. You're gonna give it to the street, right?
Yeah, it's straight, no chaser. This is like a straight story. This is for real readers, and it cuts out the fluff. It's not pretty. It's real life. It's the real deal. It's based on a true story. It's based on my life and the lives of people around me. My mother was a real queen pen. She served 20 years of her life in prison. She was very upset about me putting out this book because we come from a place where you talk, you don't tell, you don't talk, and it was a cleansing for me. And she just couldn't understand it. She was very angry, very, very angry. But my daughter is fine. She found the book. My daughter, who was a teen runaway, I was a tough mom, and so in the book, it's a spoof off of our life. So it's fictionalized to protect the innocent and not so innocent. Yeah. But I mean, really, my mother read the book from a different place than someone. My mother read the book and felt it was all about her, and I was like, it says the Queen Pen's daughter, not the Queen Pen. Just having Queen Pen in it, she took it personal. And but like I said, it's the real deal. It's not the fluff, and that's why when people read it, they are so attached to it because it's based on a true story.
Also, too, you do something too that you mentor young ladies. Tell us about that.
I do. That is the best job that I ever had in my entire life. It is like, follow your passion and you'll find your purpose. When I put out this book, I did not put out this book to make money. I did not. I wrote the book as a healing. It was not supposed to be published. It was not supposed to get any press. It was just one of those things that I just wrote it out to just clear my mind and in my healing process. And when I wrote the book and someone got their hands on it, they said, if you don't put it out, we will. So I said, I need control over what goes on with my name and my life. And so it ultimately went to print. And like I said, I didn't put it out to make money. So I said, I had already made money in real estate and done other things in my life and made out okay. And I said, so I want to give back to the community.
Give her a big hand, everybody.